Well, thanks for staying with us. My name is Darryl Kwao. Now, Cabinet is expected to formally be briefed this week over the possibility of going to the IMF for a program. This is what Joy Business has picked up from government sources. George Yafe has the scoop.
For some, this meeting could kickstart another round of briefings within government, as in whether the current conditions facing the economy, an IMF program could be the best option, rather than the homegrown programs aimed at stabilizing the economy. The decision to brief Cabinet followed a meeting over the weekend that discussed the options available to government in terms of restoring investor confidence and fast-tracking the stability of the economy. At the meeting, all the options were presented to the team, which included very senior ministers in government and some very critical persons at the presidency. Joy Business is learning that some two individuals that were opposed to the IMF program, arguing that we can manage the situation ourselves, have started softening their stance. Maybe after this briefing, we may get some clear understanding as in the way forward. That is, can the homegrown program do the trick, or the more we delay, the more the situation worsens? Well, looking at the current development, there is a likelihood that the decision to go or not to go for an IMF program could be captured in the media review of estimates to be presented by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to Parliament next month.
And even before the media review, we're hearing that government has established formal engagement with the International Monetary Fund over the possibility of signing up for a program. Joining me in studio with more on this is George Yafe. So, George, what are we picking up from your sources?
So what we understand is that this formal engagement looked at what could be in for us if we should go for a fund program. And there are, let us put it on record that the government has always been engaging the fund for several things. Even during the COVID-19 time, they were trying to get some support from the fund. But what we are picking up is that this engagement is linked to having a program for Ghana. So that is why we are all following this deeply. And that it was looking at whether Ghana could have gotten some additional support from the fund in terms of monetary. But the fund is also saying that for that fund that they have available, about more than $70 billion, you have to sign up to a program before you can get that support. And that is why we're seeing this engagement going on. What are the scenarios if we should sign up for a program? What program are we likely to go for? Because don't forget that whilst government was pushing hard this homegrown policy, the market was also pushing government to opt for a fund program. And that is why government was kind of trying to look in a bottle with two eyes. Whilst we push the homegrown policy, let us also engage the fund, which started somewhere around 3 months ago. And there have been several video calls with officials in Washington, D.C. on the options available. Even during the spring meetings, there were engagement with the IMF MD about what is in for Ghana.
And we know the government hasn't ruled out signing on to the IMF program. It is weighing its options. But then to take the step of going to establish a formal engagement, what does that signal? That government is more likely to go to the IMF? What
I mean, there were two persons within this government, and that were very critical. About 3 months ago, it was a no-no. The argument was that they can manage the economy. I mean, it's a sign of if you go to the fund, you can manage the economy. That was about 3 to 2 months ago, even a month ago. As of 2 weeks ago, these two individuals have softened their stance. They are now more open to an engagement to the IMF, and that is why it is now more likely now. If you want to rate it percentage-wise, it will be about 70 over 100 as likely going for a fund program, Darryl.
And so this formal engagement, approaching the IMF and talking about a possibility of a program, what does it entail? What kind of conversation?
Well, what are the options available for us? Again, we need to establish what is the problem. What kind of program is Ghana going for? Initially, from what we picked up, Ghana was pushing for a program that would not come with any funds. So you will talk about the policy credibility, Darryl, and that is what Ghana was looking like. Maybe this time around, it will come with some funds as well. So what is the challenge with Ghana right now? We need to first establish. All right. What are the policy alternatives that should be put in place? And the fund has several instruments. So these engagements are looking at all these things. And Darryl, even if government should say that we are going to a fund program today, it will take minimum 6 or 8 months for a program to be established. Wow. Or even looking up to a year. But don't forget that what is this government also trying to address? You want to restore investor confidence. Even that formal letter that will be signed by the governor of the Bank of Ghana and the finance minister to the fund, that could stimulate or bring about that investor confidence that you're looking for. So even if it's today, we may look at a situation where a program can kickstart from next year, Darryl.
Okay, and so, right, after the engagement, what happens? They wait?
After the engagement, when you want to also test the waters to see what will be available for you, then you have a situation where the finance minister and the governor of the Bank of Ghana will then put an intent that I want a program. Then the fund will also respond. There will be some initial visits and all those to establish what the problem is. And then we say, okay, looking at your problem, I think that as a policy credibility staff, you don't really need funds. This is what we will offer to you. These are the conditions and all those things. And so within these 6 months or 8 months, there will be back and forth engagement. The fund will be in. And don't forget that we have a formal engagement with the fund already. We have the Article 4 consultation, the staff consultation. So as we speak right now, the fund has a fair idea what Ghana's problem is. One of the taking issues is about our debt stock and how or what should be done to bring it under control. We're also picking up is that with some of government's flagship programs, it might be frozen if we have to push ahead with the program. But don't forget that government is also trying very hard to kickstart some of these programs already. So when they engage the fund, they would more of come up with some strength that, listen, this is what you're going to do. I've started that already. So it can then influence whatever conditions that the fund will put forward for the country Ghana.
All right, we'll just wait and see as a cabinet is also supposed to be briefed about this. Thank you very much, George, for that update. Well, former finance minister said Tekwe has warned any further delay in seeking assistance from the IMF would not bode well for the economy. Take a listen.
If we don't go to the IMF now, right, I have more questions. Are we able to weather the Ukraine war for as long as it takes? The G7 just met, right, and they are saying they are in for the long haul, which means that, quote, what they are saying is that we expect this to extend maybe to the end of the year or the rest. Are we able, to weather with our current condition, the inflationary things, the adjustments which the global central banks are doing, and now we are doing syndicated loans. Even if we were in the markets ordinarily, we would be borrowing at rates that now account which are going to be higher because of the global interest rate. So I'm saying that's another factor we need to consider, right? Given our current situation, are we able to, to harbor this? If crude oil prices continue to grow, if grains don't come, for wheat to go to, our two major wheat producers, bread and the rest. Those are the factors we should be talking about when we talk, about this. But I'm saying that where is the pride? Didn't we go back to the IMF for COVID loan? If we were that solid, why didn't we stomach it ourselves?